Hey guys, so welcome back to this Python tutorial for beginners, and in this video we will learn about functions. Alright, so functions are basically something that contains lines of code that are usually used to complete a specific task. So inside functions, you can pass some information into the function, which are called parameters, and then that function can do some stuff to that information and return some information back to us. Just like some functions in math. Okay, so to define a function in Python, we use the keyword def, and then we have to tell it the function name, and in this case we will create a function called hello name, and then parentheses. So inside here we will actually give the function the information that it needs, or called the parameters. So we will give it a parameter name, and then end it off with a colon. Now inside here, we will actually write the lines of code that are being executed when we call the function. So we could say print hello plus name. Okay, so now if we just run this like this, notice that nothing will happen, and that's just because that we haven't actually called the function yet. So to actually call the function and execute the lines that are inside the function, we have to use the function name, so hello name, and then use parentheses. Now for this function, we used a parameter, so inside here we will have to pass the parameter into the function, and we wanted to use the parameter name, so we will pass a name into this function, and let's just say Bob. Now if we run this, see, we get hello Bob, which is printed out into the console. This actually works with all the names, so if we type in Jack, then it will just show hello Jack. We can also store a name into the variable, and actually we will just ask the user for the name. So input what is your name. Then inside here we will give it the name variable that we created. So now if we run this, what is your name? Say Kevin, and we get hello Kevin. Just so you guys know, you can actually make a function without some parameters. So you could say define hello, and in this function we don't ask for any parameters. Instead we will just print hello, and I am a dog. Then you can say print Python is fun. Just like that. And now when we call the function, we don't have to pass in any parameters because we didn't specify any here. So we could just say hello, and then it should print out 3 lines. Just like that. Alright. So you may ask why we need to use functions, since we can actually get rid of all these lines that we use to create these functions, and just have something like this instead, and that would basically do the exact same thing. So now if we do this, then we enter Kevin, we get hello Kevin. And I will just show you an example where functions can be really helpful in terms of reusing code and changing stuff in the function that can be reused within the whole program. So let's define a function called add2, and always remember to use descriptive function names or for your variables. So add2, and inside here we will ask for the parameter number, and then inside here we will just print number plus 2. So what this function will do is take in a number that we can pass into the function, and then print out that number plus 2. Okay, so now if we run this, so add 2, and then inside here we'll pass in a number, so for example 3. If we run this, we should get 5 because 3 plus 2 equals to 5, and that prints it out into the console, just like that. So now let's say we had multiple add 2's, so let's say 5, then we had this function run multiple times, 1, 7. Okay, so now if we run this, see, we get 5, 7, 3, 9, and we added 2 to each of these numbers. And now let's say we wanted to change this function. Instead of adding 2, we wanted to add 3 now. So now if we print number plus 3, we just change this to add 3 for each of the numbers. If you didn't have this, let's say you hard-coded this and you didn't have functions, so you had 2 plus 3, you had 5 plus 3, 6 plus 3, like that, and now you wanted to change this value to 5. Now you would have to change this 3 times, but when we had functions, we only have to change this number 1 time. Now imagine that you had like this plus 5 line of code in many places in your program. So instead of having to change this like maybe like 10 times or even 20 times, you could just change it 1 time, which in the function, and this will help you prevent any mistakes that you might make when you change the number, or it can be more efficient. It can help you better organize your code. So if you have code that you actually want to reuse in your program, if you have in a function, you won't have to type it out so many times. Now, I just want to talk about the return keyword that we can use with functions. Just like how I said in the beginning, you can return information back to us after we take some actions on the information. So let's just go back to our add2 function. And here, instead of actually printing out the add2 to the number, we can store this first into a variable. So answer equals to number plus 2. Instead of printing it out, we will use a return keyword. And then we can return the answer. So now if we run this, first let's just call the function. Let's get this one. And now if we run this, see, we get nothing, because when we return the value, it just like this function like basically is the answer. So this function here, this would be the same thing as 1 plus 2, which is equal to 3. So if we store this into an actual variable, so answer equals to add2, the answer will actually store the integer, which is 3, that is here. So I will show you if we print this out. So we print answer now. See, we get 3. And we can just not use a variable and just print it out like that. And that will just give us 3 as well. So this thing is basically just equal to 3, and will be the same thing as this when we return the value. We use the return keyword instead of just printing the answer out to the screen, because probably maybe in our program we need to store this value here, the answer, in a separate variable outside the function, and then probably use that variable in our actual program. So for example, let's say we only wanted to print it out the answer if it is equal to 6. So if answer is equals to 6, then we'll print the answer. And then else, if it's not 6, then we'll just print the answer is not 6. Just like that. and now let's store the our value to a variable. So answer equals to add 2 and then pass in the parameter. So let's just try 3, and that should give us a value of 5 for answer. So now if we run this program, it should print out this answer is now 6. See, and that's what happens. Now if I change this to 4, see, we get 6 because 4 plus 2 is equal to 6. This is just a way when we need to return our value from the function so we can actually use it in our program. Now let's look at a different function. Let's say we did a function like subtract, and then here we would type in number 1 and then number 2. So let's say now we want to return number 1 minus number 2. And notice here that we used actually 2 parameters, and you can have as many parameters as you want inside functions. So this function will take 2 parameters, number 1, number 2, and then return the difference between the 2 numbers. So let's call that subtract. So here we'll give 7 and then comma 2, and inside here we have to give in 2 numbers because we asked for 2 numbers when we define the function. So now let's store this into the variable called difference, and then let's print difference out into the console so we can actually see it. So this should give us 5 because 7 minus 2 equals to 5. And if we didn't have two numbers passed into this function, then this function won't work because we asked for 2 parameters. So here, see, it says missing 1 required positional argument, and arguments are basically just parameters. Okay, so we learned about how to use functions and some other things that we can do with functions as well. And in the next tutorials, we will talk more about functions and also show you guys some use cases, actual use cases in some projects. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time. Bye.